Hello, welcome to a Coachable Players episode. This podcast is built on the belief that the most successful athletes, employees, and business leaders share a trait. They are coachable. This podcast explores how the lessons of being open to feedback, growing under pressure, and leading with humility extend far beyond the playing field. With these episodes, we want to inspire listeners to embrace the coachability trait as a lifelong skill. And with these episodes, I want to sit down and talk with dynamic and inspiring leaders. And I got one today. Today is going to be an awesome episode. Chris Lelevee from Operating Engineers 825. I met Chris, I guess, 3 years ago now, possibly, I think three. We'll go with three. That sounds good. 3 years ago, I was at a construction safety conference at Princeton University, and there was all these speakers giving an economic forecast and giving mental health updates and all these different construction topics and safety topics. And after the day long conference, I ran into Chris and we started talking baseball and the Pirates and the Yankees, and that segued right into the construction industry. And here we are 3 years later, and we're still talking construction and we're still talking sports. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Chris to the show. Chris, how's it going today?
We're doing good, John. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate that intro and appreciate your words. Uh,
Yeah. So
Kind
who's
of touching
Chris?
to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're awesome. I'm just right off the start, we had a little bond established right
Yeah,
away.
we do have to fix the Yankees. We do have to fix the Pirates.
Yes.
We've got to fix the Steelers. We got to fix the Giants and the Jets. You're West
Yeah.
Pensy, which I have love for with the sports teams.
Yeah.
I'm over in Jersey, so I don't know what we're gonna do, John, but we got to figure something out.
We got to. We got to. I love it how right away we started talking Yankees and Pirates right off the bat.
Yeah, well, it's interesting being a product of the 70s. The Steel Curtain was kicking butt, and there was, just childhood icons I was looking at with your Mean Joe Green and Stallworth, and on your offensive side with Bradshaw and Swan. Um, and I fell right into that. And it was almost like people of my age, where I'm 53 now, there's a lot of either you're a Steelers fan or a Cowboys fan. That was the
Yep.
big dynamic there at the late 70s, early 80s. Um, and then, just because it was like, you're looking at Pittsburgh stuff, what are the Pirates up to being a baseball fan?
Yep.
And, to me, the Cobra was awesome. I think Dave Parker
Yeah.
he was probably one of my favorite players, even over most of the Yankees. Dave Parker was just he was an inspiration. He was cool.
He was. He had the arm. Oh, did he have an arm?
Man, did he cannon. He had a cannon. And I see that sometimes with Aaron Judge when Judge
Yeah.
makes he launches a missile from right field to third. And I'm like, I'll say to my sons, hey, that's a Dave Parker throw,
There
you
you
know?
go. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our love of sports is very evident. Both of us have some youth coaching experience in our background, and that's awesome too. And we're going to touch on that in a little bit and talk about coachable players. But first, for the few people that don't know who you are, maybe a quick little intro on yourself and who's local union 825.
Local Union 825 is the operating engineers in New Jersey. We also cover the Hudson Valley in New York, which encompasses 5 counties. We run the heavy equipment out in Pennsylvania, to the east of Pennsylvania, you have 542. To the
Yep.
west of Pennsylvania, you have local 66. So we're all over the nation. We're a union of over 450,000, so everything from heavy equipment, what you see going on bridges, tunnels, roads, buildings, you know, you name it, we're doing it. And we're out there, constantly training, constantly doing things. And on the other side, I'm a huge advocate for mental health,
Yep.
addiction, suicide in the construction industry. It's a problem, as we've talked about before on your other podcasts.
Yep.
And you yourself are doing great work, and that's really where we started hooking up. Where saw what you were doing, you were telling me what you were doing, I was telling you what I was doing, talking about sports, and we made Pennsylvania, New Jersey merged there, and it was I think
Yeah,
we've been doing some good stuff.
we're still doing good stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
awesome. It's awesome. It's really cool. But business agent 825, operating engineers 825, business agent. So you cover northern New Jersey and parts of New York. Is
Yeah.
that okay?
No, well, me myself, I cover what's called Hudson County.
Okay.
It's 11 cities along the Hudson River, right across from New York City. Uh, very densely populated. Lots of different construction, as you can imagine, from high-rise construction, roads, bridges. And we're actually starting on the biggest job in America right now, which is the Gateway Tunnel going from North Bergen, New Jersey, over to New York City. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
I hear you. A lot of stuff means you need a lot of workers, a lot of operating engineers out there in the field. So recruitment, I'm sure, is going gangbusters.
Yeah, recruitment's great. I mean, it's one of those things, in some kind of a way, we have an easy sell because we got the big equipment and everybody's kind of attracted to that. Um, but again, it's not for everybody. It's not all glorious from what you see afar.
Hmm.
There's other things that you have to do. There's other facets of the job. Um, but all you really have to do, you know, when we get apprentices and I get a chance to talk to apprentices, I said you have to be reliable. You need a good attitude, show up on time, stay off substances, and you will make a great career
Yep. Yep.
because the rest of the stuff's going to come.
Yeah.
Um, and you can't go out there and see a seasoned guy, and I'm going to say like a bulldozer. You see a seasoned guy, and it's poetic the way he's just moving dirt around. You have to crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run.
Yep.
So, as long as you keep that, and you pick up something from the other guys and gals that are out there doing it, you're going to come into your own, and
Yeah.
that's the best way to kind of between our training and learning from the others. That's how you become a good, solid operating engineer.
Yeah. I see a lot of similarities between, a baseball team or a football team and a trade and operating engineers, where there's the mentorship, there's the coaching from the agents, and there's mentors in the field, the
Yeah.
leaders on the team. And yeah, we kind of touched on it a lot before I hit record. I should have hit record like 10 minutes earlier. You had some really good quotes and some good lines. Yeah.
That's all right. It might pop up again.
There you go. There you go.
It might pop up again, so it's no biggie. But no,
Yeah.
there is. I mean, when you look at a typical dirt job, you have so much moving between the excavators, the dozers, the end dumps, the rollers. What is everything doing? But everybody kind of knows where they need to be.
Mhm.
Um, my world was a crane world where I mostly worked with the other trades, putting up steel. I knew what the iron worker needed before he told me. He knew I was going to put it where it had to be. The carpenter knew I was going to do. The laborer knew what I was going to do. We all knew what each other needed. So even further from the operating engineers, when it comes to the trades and you watch, let's say, a high rise go up, it's so poetic
Oh yeah,
because
it's
as
awesome.
as you're going up, it's like, okay, as the crane operator sitting there, you're like, all right, I just did that. You're on your 10th floor. You've done it 10 times, right? So you're like, okay, this goes here. And yeah, sometimes that falls into somebody's calling for the hook and you say, oh, you don't want that first. And they look at you, go, ah, you're right. And hey, and but that's where the fun busting comes in. Listen, I'll
Yeah.
run the job myself if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But we all have a good laugh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's picking each other up when you're getting down and, um, who might be having a little bit of a foggy day or whatever. So, but, you see it happen and you don't know how it's happening. I think people go past construction sites. And I mean, I've heard it from, people like within my neighborhood. Oh my God, I can't believe how far they got.
Yeah.
You can get a lot done in 8 hours.
You can. Oh yeah. Yeah.
If everything is put where it needs to be and the equipment's where it needs to be and everything's good, you're gonna move and groove.
Yeah.
Um, and we take a lot of pride as operating engineers, as tradespeople.
Yep.
We
As you
take a
should.
lot of pride in our work,
Yep. Yep.
and we don't like to slap it together.
Yeah.
I tell people some of the smartest guys I've ever met are out here in the field, doing
I
their
agree.
thing. they're just, sometimes the plans will come out. You'll get a carpenter foreman. He'll say, "Hey, this isn't going to work. We tried this on this job." And, there'll be a little bit of a bickering, but then all of a sudden it's like, hey, maybe he's right.
Yeah.
20 years in the field, the guy might know a thing or two. Yeah,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know? So, it's sometimes, we all make mistakes. So let's work through that mistake. And that's why you grab the people that are knowledgeable. But that guy with the 20 years experience was once an apprentice walking around with a tape measure and a square.
Yep.
So, he didn't just become that. You know, I'm known as a decent crane operator. I didn't just become that. There was a whole learning part
Yep.
that, mistakes and things that happen. Thank God, no accidents. Um, but there was certain things I had to put in the work, and that was from the ground up.
Yep.
So, and I accepted it because, kind of like the name of this, I'm coachable.
Yeah.
So, tell me what to do and I'll do. Um, and that's how you set people up for success.
Yep. But with that in mind, what kind of role does that play on the recruitment side when you go to high schools, colleges, job fairs, whatever? I mean, how do you express that out? How do you express that coachability aspect?
But that's a good question, and it's the ability to listen.
Hmm.
It's the ability to listen. We live in challenging times. We live in very quick satisfaction. If you think about the way we live, there's things on apps.
Yeah.
We could get any food delivered to us in any time, where it used to just be like pizza and Chinese. When I was younger, that's who delivered.
Yep.
Um, we can order something online, and we could have it the same day or next day. If you get out to the Midwest, they're starting to do drone delivery. I mean,
Yeah.
so we
Crazy.
live in this time where everything happens now. Um, so okay, I'm going to get in this machine and I'm just going to dig a hole. It doesn't work like that. So getting your younger generation to say, okay, I need to calm down, I need to focus, I need to listen, because there is a reason that you're digging the hole the way you're digging it. There is a reason you're lifting pieces the way you're lifting them. Um, and it's going to be a process till you get there.
Yeah.
Uh, and figuring that out. That's why, like with sports, we were talking earlier. I saw kids come on the baseball field, didn't know how to hold a bat, didn't know how to throw. That's fine. What they wanted was to play the game.
Yep.
So I take that to job fairs and school talks to where if you want to do it, you're going to do it.
Hmm.
And that goes with anything. And I'll even say, you might want to be an IT guy, but if that's what you want, that you're going to do it. Because you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, if you naturally enjoy what you do, you're going to put your best foot forward.
Yeah. I agree.
So it's a little bit of patience. It's a little bit of learning and realizing that you're not going to be great coming out of the starting gate.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit, going to be some time, but
Yeah.
you have to say, hey, today, what did I learn?
Yep.
What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Maybe those answers are nothing. Maybe today I learned the same thing as yesterday, but there's going to be days like that as well.
Yeah.
So, you don't go to school and they do reviews for nothing. So
Yeah.
if you're doing a review, you're learning the same thing as you did last week. So
Yeah.
again, we're trying to get it into your head. It's the business.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really what I bring to the younger generation, just kind of bringing them down to that, work with it, work
Yeah.
with it.
When it comes to youth sports, you've probably seen this too. I coached youth football for 3 years, and I'm coaching now youth girls basketball. And the guy I coach with, he's a VP, head of operations for a large general contractor. And from time to time, I'll say to him, or he'll say to me, that girl there, she might not be the best basketball player, but I guarantee she could in 20 years run a construction company. I mean, she's very coachable. She listens, and you can see the progress within the season. Every game she gets better, and she takes feedback and she uses what she hears, and it's awesome when you
Yep.
see that play out. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're younger like that, and I saw that with a lot of the kids I coached in baseball. where they were learning, who needed to be where and correcting people, but correcting people in a positive way, not yelling at them
Yeah.
or, talking down to them. Just, hey, why didn't you back this throw up? Why didn't you do this? Remember we were supposed to do that. And, you know, when the kids start coaching each other and, those are leaders.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those are future leaders. I had one time I had one of the parents come up to me and tell me that, my older son, that he's a natural leader. And I thought that was cool. And then my younger son was on a younger team down, and his coach was like, I never have to tell him what to do. He just goes, he does. He's always in the right space at the right time. Um, but that's what you need. And for me, I look at that and say, you know what? Whatever they turn out to do in the future, they will be successful if they keep that up.
Yeah.
So that was just one thing as a dad that made me feel great. But coaching other kids, um, sometimes it took a couple of times. And then it's funny, and I'm sure you see it too, when they finally did what you told them to do and it worked, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Their biggest smile.
But you can't tell them that you told you so. You just say, how'd it feel?
Yeah.
Felt good. That worked out. Maybe we'll try that again.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that it's in a lot of it has to do with how you're going to talk to somebody.
Hmm.
I think we all respond as humans differently. Talking to the way you speak to somebody, the way you present yourself. There's that old saying, you get more with sugar than you get with vinegar, right? So
Yeah.
it's really not about stroking somebody's ego. It's about just talking to them as a human being or talking to them. I tell people all the time, I try to treat everybody the same way I want to be treated.
Yeah.
So if you could figure that out, that's not too hard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, we all love to see it when you have that coachable operating engineer, or coachable player, or coachable person. But there are challenges too. They're not all coachable. And you guys, I think the operating engineers has a nice system set up where you have the levels of leadership, and you have mentors, field leaders, office leaders like yourself, agents out there recruiting. But that's not always the case, and it's not always the case that everyone's coachable. I mean, how do you address? I mean, the easy thing to do would be just to discard and get rid of them, but we don't want to do that. We want to help people. And how do you face the challenge of someone that isn't coachable?
Easy answer for anything is to throw it away, right?
Yeah, easy. Yeah,
But that's simple. Throw it away or dismiss it. But here's a person that's out there still trying.
hmm
They're not performing in the way they should. Well, maybe that's about getting with a different instructor. Maybe that's with getting with somebody that can see eye to eye with them. Very much like you and I when we were talking about sports when we first met. I mean, it was almost like we knew each other for a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
Very possible if that conversation didn't happen, it would have been, yeah, John's a cool dude. Yeah, Chris is a cool dude, and whatever.
yeah,
But we kind of meshed. We had, a lot of the same interests and similarities and things. And I think that's important. It's important to say as a leader to say, you know what, I'm not getting through to this person. Maybe John has a better approach, but to also speak to John. Hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Doesn't seem like I'm getting through.
yeah,
Um, would you give it a shot? And for you to step in and say, okay, not, uh, you know, this young guy's a jerk, he's not listening. No, okay, Chris tried this. We're going to go with that. Let me assess the situation. you know, you might find that common thread, or he may just be more comfortable with you.
yeah,
I may come off more aggressive, not on purpose. Um, I just might be more forward than the next person, and maybe he needs a more laid back attitude.
yeah,
And if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But I think everybody is coachable. I really
yeah,
do. I think everybody is coachable. Um, and it's just how you do it. But for me, when I think about it, for me, and it's happened before, I'm not too good to say, you know what, let me step back and let me put this person over here with this person,
Yeah.
and have that discussion that I'm not getting through. That's not a fail. That's just a, understanding of what's going on.
And teamwork.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I had kids on the younger teams. They
Yeah.
listen to the assistant coach more than they listen to me.
Yep.
So I would tell the assistant coach, hey, tell so and so to do this and that. That's all.
Yeah.
For some reason, there's a click there, and you have to work with it. If we play on each other's strengths rather than go on each other's weaknesses, we would as a just society be so strong.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why more people wouldn't do that. But unfortunately, I think we all see that a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
One player isn't going to make the team.
Yeah. It's life. Yeah.
So
Doesn't mean they give up on the sport or give up on the career. Like Michael Jordan,
no,
Michael Jordan was cut as a sophomore and
God.
yeah,
So
used
is
it as
Dennis
benefit.
Rodman.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're but see, the drive was there, the want was there.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. So you keep chasing it. And when you're chasing that dream and you're chasing after something, it's real.
Yeah.
Um, I think people that played, uh, that were involved in any sort of athletic activity, whether it's as a kid, whether they carried that through high school or they went to college, I think they make a great tradesperson. The same way a military person makes a great tradesperson.
Yep.
You learn that things have to go a certain way. You learn that you have to play together to actually win the game.
Yep.
So it's not a one-on-one thing.
Yeah. And you said something that was, did you ever hear something that's so much common sense? You're like, oh my gosh, that's so true, But when you talked about, so you have someone that you have trouble reaching and there's challenges reaching that person. And in my mind, it's like, oh, you just keep working, you keep maybe I'll try this different, try this coaching different. But then I wasn't which I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wasn't thinking of the team, as like the operating engineers, you have other business agents, you have other mentors, you have other people
Yeah,
that help out. So
yeah,
utilize the team. It's like we all know this, but it's something that you're like, oh, I should have thought of that. But you
yeah.
guys have a great structure set up where you can all help each other and help the overall mission and help the team. And
Well, I think it's with anything. I
yeah,
do it. I do it with my peer program. If somebody's having an issue with substance, and
yeah,
I'm talking to them about recovery, and they really just aren't hearing me. I have other peers I can reach out to and say, hey, this is where I got with them. But I'll say to the person, can I have somebody else give you a call?
yeah,
No different than if I have a woman that calls me, I'll say, would you prefer to talk to a woman? Um, making the person as comfortable as they can. When you're comfortable, more things happen. You
yeah,
know, if your way has somebody all tensed up and scared to make a mistake or something, and my way just has them relaxed, that doesn't mean that your way is wrong and my way is right. It means this is what that person responds to.
yeah,
I think in teaching, very much like what I do with mental health and addiction, there is no one size fits all.
yeah.
There's a structure, but it's how you follow that structure. Very much the way you line kids up for a football game or you put
Or
people in the field.
yep,
Um, you know, I'm a coach that, when it comes to baseball and it's youth, nobody on base, a shallow hit to right field, try to get the guy at first.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Now, is that routine? Is that normal? Do you see that when you're watching MLB? No, but in my head, that's a possible out.
yeah, yeah,
You could tell me I'm wrong, but that's your opinion.
yeah,
But the structure's there. The structure is if he gets to first, he's safe. If he gets thrown out, he's out. So I'm going
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
an
There
out.
you go. There you go.
You know, um, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think we all sit there and watching TV. Why did he do that? And why did he do that? And that's just the personality of a sports fan, right? But
Yep. Absolutely.
you know, that coach had a reason.
Yeah.
And, you know, although we say what we say and we're caught up in the moment, it doesn't mean that his reason was wrong.
Yeah. Agree.
You know, we could all sit here and talk about it Monday morning what he should have done, but
Yeah.
the game's over. The
Yep.
score is entered. We're done. You
Learn from it
know,
and move on. So, yep.
and
Yeah.
that's it. You know, I would tell my kids, you know, we're going to go on the field today. Somebody's going to come off with the winning score.
Yep.
I hope that's us.
Yeah.
But even when we lost and the kids were down, I made sure I said, guys, I'm proud of you. You know, we might have lost 10-7, but what's really, and just point out and highlight some really nice hits, some really nice plays.
Yep.
Uh, no different on a construction site. Hey, you know, today was a tough one, but really proud of how much we got done. You know,
Yeah.
we had the excavator breakdown that kind of screwed us up a little bit. We had dump trucks coming in late, but you know what? For what this day was, we got a decent amount done. So,
Yeah. Be
you know,
proud. Yeah.
we're gonna just, you know, go home now and we're gonna come back tomorrow and we're gonna do it again.
Nice.
You know, so if you kind of think about it like that, and timing in the construction industry is tight, bids are tight, and I
Yep.
get it when it goes up the ladder. And it's easy to say from an office, why the hell didn't all this get done? You know, you don't understand that it rained all weekend. We came into 6 inches of water, you know, and we had
Yeah.
to deep water this night for 3 hours.
Yep.
Um, you know, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes those moving parts aren't really expressed up the ladder.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, and like anything, it's communication.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
It's
I had a kid
always.
that played second base, and it was halfway through the season. He told me that he loves playing outfield. He doesn't know why he's at second base all the time.
Yeah.
I said, because you never told me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so he was a great second baseman. But if you love playing outfield, let's go there.
Let's do it. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but if you don't say anything, I don't know what you know. I just
Yeah.
feel you say okay. But he said okay all the time. He's coachable.
Yeah. There you go.
You know, um,
Do it for the team. Yep. Absolutely.
so you know, as these kids advanced in their last year, like was eighth grade for me because they were all going to high school. I said if I could give you guys anything, when the coach said, you know, where do you play? The answer is wherever you put me.
There you go. Nice. I
You know what
love it.
I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wherever the
you know
team needs me. Yeah.
exactly. You know,
Yeah.
so very much like an operating engineer. Hey, you know, John, I know you've been on the excavator. I need you on that dirt roller today.
Yep.
Okay, you know, we got to seal up the job. We got a lot of rain coming. We got to do what we got to do.
So, you know what else makes you awesome and such a great person is you're humble, which I love. You know, you during the conversation you mentioned my activities and peer support, and you mentioned mental health, and you make it sound like it's just something I do. But it's a major part of what you do. You know,
It
I
it
go
is,
to
man.
I
But
go to conferences across the country, and your name comes up, and people are like, "You in Pennsylvania? Are you close to New Jersey? Do you know Chris?" "Oh, I know Chris. Don't worry." I go to D.C. and I have the at the White House event, and they're asking about you. Yeah,
that's totally bizarre to me.
yeah,
And you know, I'm glad I have such a good impact and a positive impact, and
yeah,
that gives me the fuel to keep doing what I'm doing.
yeah,
I've never really been the person that has to be in the spotlight.
yeah.
I've been the team player.
But
Uh,
but
like I said to you, like you do with your opioid awareness, and we
yeah,
just had a conversation not too long ago about that. You know, like I'm behind you 100%. You know,
yeah,
like that's your initiative, and you know, very much like the 4th and 1. If I'm the guy that's going to push you for the 1 yard, I'm going to
there you
push you.
go. There you
You
go.
know what I mean? We're going to get it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you know, I don't have to be. You know, I don't have to dance in the end zone.
there you
I
go.
you know, and
Yeah.
our good friend Cal Byer, you know,
Oh, he's
the
awesome.
more of a the more of an army you make, the more the word gets out, and the more that gets done. You know,
Yeah,
one person can't do everything.
I hear you.
And I think a lot of people have that issue with micromanaging, And it's a good old saying, right? If you want anything done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think that's true. If you
Yeah.
have someone that listens and will do things the way you want it done, but also bring another side of, hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
Because as a leader, you have to take constructive criticism as well.
Yep. And you got to make sure they understand the mission and then
That's it.
see everyone
You know,
tackles it a little differently, which is fine. You don't have to micromanage and
right.
yeah.
You
So,
can't be too big to take that criticism. You can't be too big to say you made a mistake. You can't be too big to say I'm sorry.
yep.
Things like that.
I'm glad you brought that up because receiving feedback is both ways, up and down, and to the
Sorry,
whole
John.
community.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I have one of, yes, sir. I'm not a cop. No.
Yeah, so we talked about your activities and peer support and mental health and can you maybe touch a little bit on the successful people and how they're coachable and by people I mean your fellow peer support and the people in recovery and it's anyone in the process, how they're coachable to succeed, coachability helps them
Yeah,
succeed.
when it comes to peers, anybody could be a peer. All you really want is somebody. You do want somebody coachable.
Mhm.
Um, what are the right things to say and not say? To give them and to give them the tools to actively help people. Um, most of most of the peers will get to a certain point and say, okay, this person wants more, and they'll do a handoff to me where I'll know where they need to go when it comes to in-network help and things of that nature. But they've done all the prep and everything. So if you're coachable, you could be a peer. Um, the people that need help, very interested when they're done getting help and they're back in a better spot. They they're the ones that are calling saying, "Hey, I ran into a person. I think they need some help." Um, so the people that you help now become peers.
Mhm.
So whether that's a mental health thing, whether that's a addiction thing, um, they're breaking down the stigma. Put somebody in recovery not too long ago who came to me from somebody I put in recovery 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And when I finally reached out, he said, "Hey, he wants to talk to you. Here's his phone number." And I reached out. When he got all done, he said, if it wasn't for, so and so, I would have never done it. But
Hmm.
I said he had said something about, talked about drinking, and that's what the problem was. And um, the fella that already was in recovery didn't have any problem with saying, "I've been in recovery for 4 years." And if it wasn't for Chris, who spoke to me and, I didn't want to go, didn't want to go, didn't want to go. And finally I said I had to go.
Yeah.
That's he and I have an amazing relationship because he'll never forget that I was on third base coaching a baseball game when he called me, and when I saw the number come up, I picked it up,
Oh, geez.
and I said, I go, "What's going on, man?" And
Yeah.
he goes, "I had enough. I need help." And I
Uh,
yelled to my assistant coach. I said, "Take third," and I jumped out and I
awesome.
talked to him real quick. I called one of our recovery places that I use. Um, Told them what I was doing. It was a Sunday morning at like 9 o'clock. And
Yeah.
I said, can you call this guy? And they took care of it for me. Um, but it always comes back to, coaching third base,
Yep. That's
and
awesome.
yeah. So, and I use that a lot. I mean, you could be on a construction site, you could be having coffee, you could be coaching third base. You don't know when somebody is going to say, you know
Yep.
what, I've had enough and I need the help.
Yeah.
Um, and you have to be ready to respond to that. So, you know, if I looked down and it was a friend of mine calling, I would have never answered that phone call.
Yeah.
But because there was a history there,
Yeah. You know.
I answered that phone call. It happened that day. He went. He's been doing great.
Awesome.
Uh, but again, he's an advocate.
Yeah.
And I could give you 30 to 50 stories of the same.
Awesome. You're building that team. You got that strong
Yeah,
team. Yeah.
yeah, and even through the other trades,
Yeah.
it's they'll call, hey, an iron worker will call, hey, one of my guys, this, would you be able to help him? Absolutely. We'll figure
Awesome.
this out. You
That's
know,
awesome.
so everybody's coachable, and when
Yeah.
somebody comes out on the other side of that, addiction and mental health's tough. You could fall off. People don't really understand that. Falling off's not a failure. Falling off is no different than cancer going into remission and showing up again.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what falling off is. So a lot of people will say, I feel like a jerk. I'm embarrassed. You don't have to be embarrassed because this is a disease,
Yeah. Yep.
but it
I
doesn't mean you're any less of a person.
agree.
So let's get you the help. Let's get you back to where you need to be, and let's go. Um, you know,
Awesome.
no different than the quarterback that throws an interception. Does he walk off? Does he walk off the field and say, "Well, I'm not throwing the ball anymore"?
Yeah.
I remember when my son was pitching, I used to have a very deep appreciation. I still do, but when my son was pitching, he doesn't pitch anymore. I had a deep appreciation that the first kid that hit a home run off of him, he took his glove off, he stood on the mound and clapped. And he stayed on the mound and kept pitching. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I did something right here.
That's awesome. There you go. Showing
You know what I
respect.
mean?
That's
That's it. Or tip your hat,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
when if he hit a kid,
Yeah.
when he was younger, he'd walk over, shake the kid's hand. As he got older, it turned
Yeah.
into the tip the
Yep.
hat.
Yeah.
Didn't do it on purpose, man.
Yeah. That's
But
awesome.
you're standing on first and you're gonna have a hell of a bruise on your leg.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that
But
happened. That happened recently with my daughter. Her sixth grade basketball team. They all had to write down their goals for the year,
right.
and the kids are writing, "I want to hit a three. I want to score 5 points a game or 10 points a game or whatever." And Lindy, my daughter, was saying, "I just want to play really hard and play hard against other teams." And we started talking about it, and we talked our way through it. And I said, "It sounds like you want the other team to respect you and respect your game, and that's what her goal is when she walks off the court, to be respected by her opponents and teammates." And
It's
which,
awesome.
yeah, so that I'm going to go full circle here because we started talking about sports here at the beginning. Big Ben, we both like the Steelers.
Oh
You
yeah.
like some New York teams and the Steelers. For some reason, you like those New York teams. Now I get it, but
I'm not a big Giants Jets guy.
okay, all right,
I'm a Yankee guy. I'm not a
okay,
Mets
all right,
Jets Giant. It's
yeah,
football. That's it. I
but they
love the
asked,
Jets. I
yeah,
love the Jets when the Steelers are in town.
oh yeah, yeah, that's a fun game. Well, they asked Big Ben. They said, "What's the best play of your career?" And this is a guy who won a couple Super Bowls, set lots of records, threw a lot of touchdown passes. And he said, "The best play of my career was an incomplete pass I threw in a game against the Ravens." And I just shared this recently. That's why I know this. I'm not some weirdo that has this memorized or whatever. But it was a game against the Ravens in the heyday when both teams were at the top of the AFC North. And Terrell Suggs, who was just a bulldog, just
Yeah.
one of the fiercest linebackers I've ever seen play. He got through the line and he's grabbing Big Ben, and they're fighting. It's like a 5 yard struggle. He's trying to get away, get away, get away. He finally just with his left hand throws the ball out of bounds. And he shows the clip and he goes, "That's the best play of my career." And everyone's like, "What?" And he goes, "At that game, Terrell Suggs came up to me and said, 'I never played against a tougher, meaner quarterback than you. I respect you so much. I respect you so much. I could not bring you down. You just kept fighting and fighting." And Ben said, "That's when I knew I made it in the NFL, when one of the guys I feared the most said, 'I respect you so much.'"
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
I was thinking when you were talking about being humble,
yeah,
um, a really great interview with Terry Bradshaw. Um, and one of the things he said, wasn't a great quarterback. He said I had great receivers.
yeah,
And he gave everything to like the receiving team and the running team. And he'd say, Swan used to say, put it up. I'll figure out how to get it.
yeah,
So, to hear something like that and for somebody to say, hey, this is really what it was out there, um, you know, incredibly interesting,
Yeah.
incredibly interesting. Um, it's people like that that make the world go round.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It really is. It's people that could tip their hat to each other, and make the world go round.
Yeah.
I used to say, being a New York fan, it's funny, like, you have that Boston, New York Yankee hatred there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And when Jeter was playing, you're like, yeah, well, what about Jeter? And every Boston fan was like, well, that's Jeter, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to say anything bad about him
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
because you couldn't, And it was like, you've got 39 bums, and then there's Jeter. It's like,
Yeah.
no, no. But just still, just a cool person to say, like there's someone that just went out and played every day and left it all on the field,
Yep.
whether that was making the play, assisting on the play, or just being on the sideline cheering your other guys on.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about that guy. When I think about the Pirates,
Yeah.
and somebody like Andrew McCutchen, he brings such a livelihood to the Pirates.
He does. Such
You know what
leadership.
I mean? He's
Yeah.
just he's
Lead by
just there.
example. Yep.
He's so cool,
Yeah.
calm, collective. Um, Jeter did that for the Yankees. Gardner did that for the Yankees. And you have those people, and I'll tell you what, you need those people.
You do. It
You
translates
need them
to construction too. Absolutely.
exactly. You need the person, and that might just be the safety person.
Yeah.
Picking people up when they're feeling down.
Yeah.
Telling them they did a good job. Thanks for what you did today. Those little things go a long way after you got your butt kicked for 8 hours.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, some of the nicest things I've ever heard was leaving and somebody shaking my hand saying, hell of a job today.
Yeah.
And that set the tone for my evening.
That's awesome.
And when you think about it, they said 3 to 5 words to me,
Yeah.
but they acknowledged what happened, or they grabbed the whole crew and they said, guys, you really kicked it in the butt today.
Yeah.
And you all leave like, yeah, we did,
Yeah.
but today was a day we fired on all cylinders and a little more somehow, some way. Everything fit the way it should. Everything just went.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just a great feeling as a construction guy,
Oh yeah.
when you do hear that. Unfortunately, those are far and few between. Um, and I think there needs to be more of that in the construction industry.
Yeah.
It's not about patting somebody on the back every single day, but acknowledge what's going on. Acknowledge the work that was put in or the day that they had. As an
Absolutely.
operating engineer, well, you sat in the machine all day. You're getting bumped around and banged around,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot more to it than I'm not sitting in a recliner all day.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, um,
Yeah.
so, but you get what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know
I
what I
get it.
mean?
Yeah. It's kind of like
Uh,
the story you gave earlier about, the paper pusher or the guy back at the office might say, well, we didn't achieve everything we wanted today. But it's the field guys that know, hey, it rained all weekend. We came into this, we had to, pump out all
right,
the water, whatever. And
right.
that's when the superintendent says, great job, and you leave the job site knowing the people that know what happened
Yes. We
respect what
started our
happened.
day up to our knees in water. We
Yeah.
worked all day with wet socks and shoes on,
Yeah.
and somebody's got to say that we didn't get enough done today.
Yeah. But
Think
the
about
people that
think about
know, yeah, the
that.
people on site know, the site superintendent, whatever, and
Right,
he
right.
knows what's going on. So absolutely. No, but I love the conversation. This is a great thing I want to do more of, promote the trades, and it is like a team. It's a winning team. The operating engineers, what you guys have going is amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's
But
leadership right to the top. From
absolutely.
from our business manager down. He tries to he he pushes us to do our best.
Yeah.
I'm also, I got to say, I work for somebody that I'm not scared to make a mistake around.
That's
Um,
key. That's
because a
huge.
mistake means that you're trying.
Yeah. If you
And those are
understand the
words out of my
mission,
father's mouth.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
not making mistakes, you're not trying.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very, very real if you really think about it.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
you can't be afraid of failure. Failure's going to happen. Failure is without a doubt going to happen.
Yep.
So you can't be afraid of it. You just have to embrace it and say, all right, well, I learned from it.
Yeah.
Problem is when you fail and you don't learn from it. You just keep doing the same thing over and over, then there's an issue.
That's an issue. Yeah. That's and that's when the
But
team comes in. That's when
yeah,
the team, yes.
I teach a lot of young guys a phrase. I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
And I'll get guys that'll call me, oh, this happened on the job today. So what I said, yeah, it's all done. What do you think? They'll say, never do that again.
Yeah.
That's it. You learned and you move on.
Yep. Absolutely. Learn from your
So
mistakes.
I always love talking to you, John. It's always cool stuff.
Yeah,
I
we're
think
gonna
this has
do it
been great.
again. We're gonna do it more
Great.
often. We'll do it on both podcasts, the Building PA podcast and
Cool,
Coachable
man.
Players. We'll get you on again, and we'll talk more Steelers and Pirates and
You have a
Yankees on
TV
this.
show before you know it, man.
Absolutely, brother. Maybe we'll broadcast live from a game. We should go to a game and
We'll
broadcast.
do it. Why not?
All
Why
right,
not? We'll talk during the whole game.
awesome. That sounds
Right?
fun.
Nine innings of John and Chris.
I'd love it. I would love it. Well, Chris, thank you for your time today. Until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, and stay coachable, my friends. Thanks,
Thanks,
Chris.
brother. Thank you.